Have you changed your list?
It's covered. Now let's go.
You don't have the Legos for this. Legos for this.
But there's no space.
There's no space. This one, it will go this way.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can.
I can't hear you. I can't hear
Yeah,
you.
we can hear you loud and clearly.
Okay, I can hear you now.
There's something that was not clear.
We will soon start. We are trying to get our physical panelists ready.
Okay, that's fine. It's all right.
Okay. Where is it here?
It's moving now.
Oh,
What's
okay.
a weapon? Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
You are the chair, right?
Yes, I'm the chair. Is it time to start?
Yes, you can. You can.
Is Dr. Mutia there?
Dr. Musia.
Yes, is she there?
No.
Dr. Musiat.
Yes.
Well, let's check if she's joining online.
No, she's actually joining physical. She told me she was there this morning, but it's okay if she hasn't arrived the room or something. But it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. We can start then. Do we have extra minutes now that we started at 9:19, or we have to go with the schedule?
We can do 5 minutes extension.
All right, thank you very much. Okay.
What? So where is your problem? Why is it?
Maybe studies as for
Yeah, but I can't find yours. It's not here. It's not here.
All right. Is anybody sharing any slides or anything? I think I'm ready to start. I thought Dr. Mutia to be there, but if she's not there, we can start now.
Yeah,
She's my
so
coach.
you can start and then we what? You don't have time. She's the chair. You don't have time. Maybe social and right time.
Is there something that she needs?
So they're trying to send their PowerPoints for their, the panelists are here. So they're trying to send their PowerPoint. One person has succeeded in doing that. So you're waiting for the second person.
Okay, so the person that has successfully done that, can they present first instead of like, does he follow the schedule?
No, you are the chair. So what you want is what we'll do.
Okay,
So,
that's fine. So if the person that has their presentation ready is okay with starting first, that's fine. We can do that. Does that work for the person?
she said she's ready, so I can just share her slide.
All right. Okay, thank you. Who is that person, please? Because the names I have are like in according to the program. Jesu me. Okay. All right. So I'm going to. Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the African Clothing, Dress, and Fashion panel session. This is like a personal topic to me because my research area is in African fashion, place branding, and fashion marketing. And so one of the reasons why I reached out to Prof to start to do this panel is because I didn't see anybody talking about clothing. I know there's something on print dress. And so I'm so happy that we've gotten like a couple of submissions that fit into this fit into the panel discussion for today. We have each panelist has 15 minutes. And so if you can just watch me while you're talking so that we don't so that you don't lose out when you get to 5 minutes, I'm going to put up my paper. I'm trying not to cut you short when you start speaking. And so you have 5 minutes and 1 minute countdown to when you stop. So please, as you're presenting, try and look at my face. And if the presentation is blocking the slides, then I'll have to call you out and say 5 minutes, 1 minute. The first person that will be presenting today is Olowe Jesu Ferami, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, from Obafemi Awolowo University. She's going to be talking about the art of cloth wearing in Ibadan. My Yoruba is not Skodon, so I'd have said Ashola Nkoni Eniola. No, you have to say it yourself. And she graduated from Obafemi Awolowo. Her research focuses on the intersection of culture, material culture, identity, and textiles, particularly in post-colonial Nigerian societies. She's passionate about preserving and promoting Nigeria's rich textile heritage and material culture, and she aims to blend traditional techniques with contemporary innovation. So, Ferami, you have the floor, and we look forward to hearing from you. You're starting 9:23, and you should be finishing your talk by 9:38. So please, Fermi, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jessica Miolowe, and I'm a graduate of Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife. Today, I'm excited to speak to you about my final year research, which is titled Ashonla Koni Iniyonla, Irinisi ni Isenilojo, Clothes as a Social Frame in Post-Colonial Ibadan from 1960 to the present. To provide a little bit of background context as to why I'm interested in this topic, my fascination in clothing in Ibadan stems from a deep appreciation for its cultural richness and its role in expressing identity and social cohesion. Growing up, I observed how different fabrics and styles not only have conveyed personal and collective identities, but have also told stories of our heritage and societal changes. The main aim of my project is to delve into the multifaceted role of fabric and clothing in society. I want to explore how fabric serves as a social connector, linking individuals to the broader community. Additionally, my research examines how clothing practices and textiles have evolved amidst post-colonial urbanization and globalization. My study revolves around several central questions. How has clothing served as a medium of expression and identity in post-colonial Ibadan? In what ways does fabric reflect social status and cultural heritage? How have clothing practices shaped and have been shaped by social relations within the community? The objective of my research are to uncover the transformations in clothing practices over time, understand their impact on individual and collective identities, and highlight the interplay between traditional textile techniques and modern innovations. To thoroughly investigate the role of clothing in post-colonial Ibadan, I employed a combination of historical method and descriptive analysis. This involved examining archival materials to uncover past clothing practices, conducting oral histories to gather personal accounts, and performing ethnographic observations to see these practices in action today. Additionally, I delved into Yoruba proverbs related to clothing, using them to gain a deeper understanding of their cultural and historical significance. This comprehensive approach allowed me to capture both the continuity and evolution of textile tradition in Ibadan. With our approach clearly outlined, now let's move to the key findings of my research. Our comprehensive methodology has proved rich insight into the multifaceted role of clothing in post-colonial Ibadan. Through historical analysis, oral history, ethnographic observations, and examination of Yoruba proverbs, we've uncovered several significant themes and patterns. These findings highlight how clothing functions within Ibadan society, reflecting its deep cultural significance, evolving trends, and social impacts. In post-colonial Ibadan, clothing also holds a deep socio-cultural significance. Traditional woven fabrics carry spiritual meanings, with colors symbolizing values such as vigor and wisdom. Clothing also reflects class distinction, shaping social interactions and showcasing cultural identity during festive events. This influence of colonialism and religion introduced new styles, merging buba blouses with indigenous wraps and incorporating European and Arabic elements. Mythological rituals like Egungun ceremony use clothing to embody ancestral spirits and address community issues. Additionally, the Ashwebi tradition fosters community solidarity by uniting families and social groups through shared attire. Okay. Here we see a visual comparison of Ashwebi from the 1960s to today. This illustrates how fashion trends and cultural expressions have evolved, showing both continuity and change over decades. Now let's dive into the traditional practices have stood the test of time and evolved with modern innovation. Our journey takes us to the traditions that endures. Iconic hand-woven Ashoke fabrics are still cherished and worn by all ages around the world. And also, modern innovations of materials like silk and polyesters have diversified textiles. The colorful Ankara print styles are a perfect blend of local artistry with global fashion trends. This mix of old and new highlights the dynamic nature of Ibadan textile traditions. Looking ahead, we must support traditional textile techniques, invest in education, and promote sustainable production. By blending tradition with innovation, we can ensure a vibrant and inclusive future for Ibadan's textile industry and Nigeria's at large, showcasing our unique fashion identity globally. As we wrap up, it is evident that preserving traditional techniques and investing in education and promoting sustainable production are key to ensuring the endurance and relevance of Ibadan textiles industry. This journey honors our past while forging a path towards a vibrant and inclusive future. Clothing Ibadan is more than just fabric. It's a story of identity, community, and cultural resilience. By embracing both tradition and innovation, we can continue to celebrate our unique fashion identity on the global stage. Thank you all for joining me on this journey through the rich fabric of Ibadan's textile heritage.
Thank you. That's interesting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olowe Jesuferami. Thank you. That was in time, and your topic is quite interesting. We still have like a couple of minutes within your session. I think you actually have like 10 minutes. Is it just me?
Wow.
Yeah, because it was 9:38 and it's 9:29 at the moment. So
I thought you said 5 minutes.
Oh no, 15 minutes.
Oh, you said 5. That's why I rushed through.
Oh, I said 5 minutes to count down. Sorry about that. No. It's 15 minutes, even in the email that was shared. But it's fine. I think that you kind of communicated your thoughts clearly, even though a bit fast. Since you still have enough time. No, it's fine. It's fine. Since you still have enough time, I just had I was curious as to some of the Yoruba proverbs that you mentioned, because that'd be nice to see like some examples of Yoruba proverbs, and if those Yoruba proverbs were like contextualized within like the Ibadan context, because I know that generally like proverbs are generally like
You said proverbs.
yes.
Oh, Dr. Nair.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Dr. Ladejo.
Oh, Dr. Mutia, you're here now. Good morning.
Yeah, I'm sorry I came a bit late, but you mentioned the proverbs now. So I'm thinking if they can quickly let us see. Do you want to see the slides? Okay, the proverbs are not in the slides.
Yeah, no, they're not on the slide. I wanted her to just give an example of one of the proverbs, that are related to clothing, because I can see that we have some other non-Nigerian attendee on the call, and it'll be interesting for them to hear like one of those proverbs and what that means. Yes.
Okay. So an example of the proverbs I mentioned is actually in the title. It says Ashonla Koni Enionla. So Yoruba people generally believe that even though you dress to look good, doesn't mean you'll be addressed as a good person. Your dressing doesn't necessarily state your personality. You can be a good person, dress really nicely, and still be a bad person. And also, Irinisi ni Ishenilojo, you are addressed the way you are seen. It's actually quite paradoxical in a sense.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. So the same way, like Yoruba people believe that your personality should be more than what you're putting on, and they also believe that what you're putting on also says a lot about you. Also says a lot about you to people around, to different people. So if you want to be respected and addressed properly, you need to be dressed in a way that the community would respect you.
All right, thank you. That was clear. I think we can move on because we actually started late. So thank you for helping us save time. And we can always come back. I have a couple of other comments, but I think that we can say that at the end of every other person's presentation. But thank you, Olowe Jesuferami. Who's the next person, please? 15 minutes. I just said 5 minutes. I will do a countdown. So it's not a 5 minutes presentation. It's a 15 minutes presentation. And once you're getting to the 5 minute mark, I will raise up the paper so you kind of know, so I don't distract you when you're speaking. So yes, please, who is next in terms of like readiness for their slides? Dot box. Zainab Bello.
Yes, okay. Oh, I should sit down. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Good morning.
Yeah. I'm here to present my article titled Revival of Dutch Wax Design for Identity Expression. Dutch wax have a complex history, being as an imitation of Indonesian batik produced by Dutch traders in the 19th century. Dutch wax found its home in African society. It was accepted and developed into symbols of cultural significance. Dutch wax are the most valued and worn fabric in West Africa. It is used mostly by women as a non-verbal way of communication. I'm going to be looking at the historical development of Dutch wax prints, and I'll be using some visuals to demonstrate how this development has occurred. This historical development is as a result of the development. We're going to see how the development of Dutch wax has progressed in its narrative in terms of cultural exchange, in terms of adaptation and resilience. So this is illustrated into 3 categories. We have classical wax prints, contemporary prints, and the classicons. So for the classical wax prints, please, the next slide. The classical wax prints are those prints, those Dutch wax prints that have symbolic or sociocultural significance. It's normally come with slogan, proverbial catchphrase, and it's depicts it carries colorful patterns that are symbolic to the African society. From the first visual we have, I think figure 1, I'm not seeing from here, but I can. Figure 1, we have the Kofi Annan, yeah, the Kofi Annan. The Kofi Annan fabric pattern is as a result of, it represents the brilliant mind of Kofi Annan. We all know how everyone loves Kofi Annan. We can see how it's depicted by 3 trees in a brain-like shape. So this was as a result of the speech, one of the final speech delivered by Kofi Annan in New York City. Then we have the jumping horse. The jumping horse is mostly worn by the Igbo people of Nigeria, and it represents rivalry, especially rivalry in a polygamous home, rivalry between co-wives, rivalry between friends, and it's a prominent fabric among the Igbo people of Nigeria. We also have the Ivorian pattern, which is called advice. It symbolizes relationship because the Ivorian women are known to tell their daughters about relationship in their homes, how to handle relationship when they are in their homes. So as a result of that, that's the result of that pattern. So we can see that there are a lot of classical Dutch wax prints. So we can see that it has symbolic meaning. It comes with a slogan. It comes with inspiration and others. The next slide, we have the contemporary prints. The contemporary prints do not have sociocultural significance. It doesn't carry proverbial names, catchphrase. It's mostly dwell in aesthetic rather than symbolism. And it carries a lot of texture, it's beautiful, but there's no meaning attached to it. So the contemporary prints, you'll see a lot of analogous colors on it to attract consumers, sorry. So the contemporary print doesn't have a significant value. Then the next slide, we have the classicons. The classicon is a mixture of both contemporary prints and classical prints. The classicon, if we can see the Kofi Annan prints, the first one and the former one I showed you, I don't know if you can take it back. You can see the difference. They added Dutch wax. You can see how the historical development is occurring. Dutch wax started adding contemporary patterns to the classical patterns. So it now became classicons. Please take it back. Then you can see the jumping horse. That was the original jumping horse. Then Dutch wax added contemporary pattern to make it a classicon. Then the advice, Dutch wax made it more colorful, but the original advice is the white fabric. That's that one there. So these are the historical developments. Then the next slide, we have the classical revival. The Dutch wax realized that in African society, they realize that women prefer the one with symbolic pattern, the one with catchphrase. They want a pattern that is well known in their community. So they try to revive classical pattern. So what they did was they combined mixture of 2 patterns, 2 classic. That was the attempts for the revival. So the first one, we know this prominent star and heavy rain. It was combined to form the new classic. The next one, okay, we have the speedbird and the leaf trail. It was also, all these have a symbolic meaning, and I don't want to waste time in saying their sociocultural significance. So it was combined to form the new classic. So that was an attempt for Dutch wax revival. But I find this problematic because it's a combination of two narratives from different African society just to create a new classic. So it's not, for me, I feel it's not, I want narratives to stand on their own so that the future generation will know the story behind each pattern. But by combining these two patterns, it's going to be problematic. Then we also have the fabric evolution and development.
Zainab, sorry. Zainab, you have 5 more minutes.
Okay, fabric evolution and development. The fabric evolution and development is as a result of high technical skill, computer-aided design, because of the use of computer-aided design. You see that now Dutch wax then moved to to a complex design by using acrylic to design fabric. So their main focus is just for beautification, something shiny, use of acrylic, use of beads, use of stones, without any meaning, and that's not what we want. So the next slide, so that in conclusion, in the era where politics and cultural representation is increasingly significant, the revival of Dutch wax design serve as a socio-political statement, and wearing this fabric is a way for individuals to promote their cultural diversity and inclusivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Zainab. Thank you. You are on time as well. Thank you very much. I will keep my comments and questions to the end of the panel, but thank you so much for sharing that, and thanks for the colorful images. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Please, who is next? Who is ready to go next? I think Suliat was Taiwo, Felicia Adebayo, Suliat are the two people remaining. Are they available there?
Yes, just need 3 minutes. And without sending the
Sorry, I can't hear you well.
She wants to send in her PowerPoint.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, while you're doing that, I think I can just give a few comments to on Zainab's presentation. I think it's quite interesting how sometimes, and I'm speaking based on the fact that I have a colleague that works on like kente fabric, and one of the informal discussions we've had about the kente fabric, because she's from Ghana, and that's like a research area, is that some of these fabrics, the consumers don't know the meaning behind it. So I was just curious as to find out if you are looking at it from a research point of view, but the consumers that are purchasing these products, do you know if they are aware of the meanings of those symbols? Because yes, the brand might know the meaning of the symbols, but the consumer isn't aware. And so where is the bridge between like educating the consumer about what they're wearing? I think that also kind of feeds into like having like a sustainable mindset as a consumer. But like I said, speaking to my colleague that is doing kente studies, she finds out that people that buy kente and are not from Ghana don't even know what they're wearing. So have you been able to find out that in your study in terms of like consumers knowing the symbolism of what they're wearing in the first place?
Okay. From the field survey that I have conducted, the consumers that know about the meaning of some of the fabrics are the older generation.
Okay.
Yes, but the younger generation, they don't really know. But when we advocate for this kind of revival, I think it will make companies to look into patterns that have meaning. And once we're doing that, and once that is in the market, then
Okay, someone here.
Is she ready now?
No, she's not. But someone wants to
Oh, okay.
contribute on the floor.
Okay, yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Khadija Tisu from Kaduna Polytechnic.
Okay,
So I just
fine.
want to enlighten us that in most marriages in Nigeria, most of the cultural background actually advertise most of this clothing. They will tell you this is what you're supposed to buy. They would give the list to the husband that these are the kind of Hollandis that bear such names, all those stars or whatever. So I don't think it easily go into extinction, because if most culture still patronize most of these bad fabrics based on their own interest on a particular one. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Quite interesting. I feel like that's another research topic in itself.
All right, I'll take it up.
No, that would be for Zainab to follow up. Maybe that's something she can look into, like in terms of like marital traditions. And I think that what you said in terms of like the older people, it kind of links to the point. The only danger is because of the way marriage traditions are evolving, is that tradition being passed down from one generation to another? Maybe Zainab can help us answer that question in our next research topic. Thank you very much for your contribution, Mrs. Khadija.
Okay, my name is Esther Ololajula. So,
Yes.
Dr. Khadija, that was a very good presentation. So I just want to, Zainab, sorry. Zainab, that was a good presentation. Okay. My old contribution is there are these fabrics that have they print them when there are maybe burial, especially during burial or festival, that a particular group wants to have the same imprint on them. Maybe the face of the dead, the deceased one, they make just for that occasion. Or maybe during festival, a community might decide to just put their own insignia on the fabric. So where do you situate that in the three categories that you gave us? Now, where do we situate that?
Okay, thank you very much. I really enjoyed your presentation because it's something I've been immersed into in studies and practice somehow. I like the way you classified the classical wax prints. In fact, watching a lot of documentaries in the 1970s, a number of these prints were actually used in those times. And we now realize that they are being revived and then brought back in contemporary times, but in probably with computer-aided designs and all the likes. Then I like the fact that you mentioned something about classical revival, because that's what we are witnessing now. But while you were talking about the narratives, that the narratives are not standing on their own, they are modeled up. Yes, they have to be modeled up because there is competition in the market. Initially, the Dutch, I mean, watching a lot of their documentaries, the Hollandese and all that, they think they own the African markets. They feel they are the ones that have been doing this for about 150 years. And, but my understanding of business, I don't think they should own the market. Looking at the value chain segmentation, if you look at Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Benin Republic, and there's this particular country I want to remember. Yeah, Togo and Benin Republic. You realize that the women there, in the documentaries about them, they keep repeating that they don't want to allow the Chinese products into the market, that they prefer to stick to the Dutch. But in my head, I feel like, no, is that a way to do business? No, I don't think so. If Germany, if Turkey can even produce, After all, it's not produced in Africa in the first instance. So if Germany and Turkey can produce, then everybody trading in Africa will have the kind of latitude to, okay, if German production is too expensive, then we shift to Turkey. If Dutch is too expensive, we shift to America. So we should be able to have that. But I think the Hollandese and the Dutch work, they are trying to hold the African markets to ransom. Yeah. But I think in the Nigerian case, we have a different thing. And that's why the market is modeled up. Because even entrepreneurs in Nigeria presently now, like women who are very rich and have the money to produce directly from the factory, they are just modeling up designs, and they produce anything and bring it to the market. Theirs is to sell. So I'm using this to buttress the idea of the narratives are changing. Yes, the narratives are changing, but then I want you to look at it from the fact that it's about entrepreneurship too, because then there are several merchants that are involved in this in contemporary times. Thank you. I think other things I will talk about it later.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Thank you. Are you ready now? If you're not ready, is the other person there ready to present? That's Suliat.
I don't think she's here. And I don't think, is she online?
No, she's not online. Suliat is not online. Okay, so we'll have to wait for Taiwo then to get it ready. But while we're doing that, we didn't have enough
speak
time
to it. You can actually speak to it from your system.
Exactly, you can speak
We'll
to
follow
it
you.
if slides are not ready. Olatilewa, please, can you just hold your question? I know your hands are up. Can you type your question so you don't forget it, and then we can ask after Taiwo's presentation, so we know that we have enough time to ask questions.
And,
can you hear me, Olatilewa? Okay. All right, Taiwo, please, the floor is yours. I will just do a brief introduction for you because I have your bio. Taiwo holds a master's degree in history and international studies from Osun State University. Our research area is in gender, medical, and cultural history, and she's currently tutoring government and history at Ikire, Osun State. So Taiwo, please present your paper. She's going to be speaking to us about gender and fashion, the changing patterns in dressing amongst the Yorubas of southwestern Nigeria. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm presenting on the topic titled Gender and Fashion, Changing Patterns in Dressing Among the Yoruba of southwestern Nigeria. So, going by the content or by the structure of the paper, I have my abstract and the introduction. In order to justify the topic, I decided to look at the dressing pattern among the Yoruba people from the pre-colonial period to the post-colonial period. Please, can you move the slide? So I also tried to look at the consequences of the changing pattern of dressing on the southwestern people of Nigeria. Please move the slide. So according to my abstract, I said, we all know that the Yoruba people have a traditional dress sense. And it is so unfortunate that this dress sense is beginning to witness or has started witnessing some changes over the years. So in the process of attempting or discussing the paper, I tried to adopt the method of analyzing primary sources as well as secondary sources. Now, going to the introductory aspects, we know that the Yoruba people do their things in a unique way. They have their way of life, which is their culture, and part of the culture is dressing, is their fashion. And of course, they have a separate attire for the men as well as for the women. For the men, they have the agbada, we have the shokoto, we have the danshiki, we have the Right? Okay. We have Barrier, we have Oyala, and so on. They also have underwears. They have underwears which they put on under the so-called agbada. So we call it wawotele. So we classify it as wawotele and our soke in Yoruba culture. Aside that, they complement their dressing with caps, which are of different types, or which varies in different styles. We have we have abeti aja, we have bentigo. Some have been one to the left hand side, some to the front, and some to the back. And one thing that is common in the Yoruba is you are being addressed the way you dress. They believe that your dress speaks a lot about you, so they appreciate the fashion a lot. On the other hand, just like the men, the women also have various kind of attire. The popular one, we have the Iro, which is known as wrapper. We have buba. They also make use of what we call ipele. The ipele is sometimes put at the shoulder, at the left hand shoulder, and sometimes tied around their waist. And they complement this dressing also, just like the men, they complement their dressing with gele, edge. And they also have underwears. Their underwears are of two types. We call one toby, which looks like apron. It is usually worn before tying their wrapper. And they also have what we call shimmy, what we call singlets. So in order not to waste our time, let me go to the post-colonial period and the colonial period. During the colonial period, of course, many institutions witnessed a tremendous change. And one of the institutions, or let me say one of the culture of the Yoruba people that witnessed change was in the dressing pattern. Due to the introduction of Western culture by the Christian missionaries, they introduced different fashion styles to the men as well as to the women. Mostly those in the government office, the government workers, they were being introduced to some certain dresses. For instance, in the police, they were introduced to khaki, and then this short knicker or so. And they were given shirts that looks like an India turtle and a kind of belt to look smart. And don't forget, this period also gave the women the opportunity to go into Western labor. So they were also introduced into gowns, hats, blouses, and so on, in order to look smart at work. And of course, the Western culture, aside introducing education, which influenced the dressing pattern of the people, we also have the globalization. Globalization also influenced the people's way of dressing. So this, in other words, we can say that factors are responsible for the changing pattern of dressing among the Yoruba people. We have the Western culture, we have globalization, as well as the job nature. Their job nature also influenced their dressing pattern. Now to the post-colonial period. Due to the influence of the globalization, we have different kinds of dressing, which were also produced with different kinds of textile materials. For instance, we have jeans, we have the micro skirts, the turtlenecks, the crazy jeans, among others. And these both one by the students and by all the ordinary people in the Yoruba community. Now, for aside that, we also have this common a kind of change in the dressing of men and women. Don't forget, I told you the way the men dresses in the pre-colonial period as well as the female. But in the post-colonial period, we began to witness a change. We have the transgender, the so-called tomboys, the gays, the lesbians, have been dressing in their own styles. We have the tomboy dressing in the male attire, always dressing in the male attire, and for the transgenders, they're always dressing, and the gays are always dressing in the female attire in order to look feminine. However, I try to look at this because there are some works that have been written on the post-colonial period as regards changing pattern in dressing. But I want to bring it out that aside people like Dewele, Bobrisky, James, the fact is cross dressing is not a new phenomenon in the Yoruba community, because in the past we also have this culture among the Yoruba people that in the moment a regent, we know the regent to be a female. The moment a regent attains the position, the throne, she's expected to dress manly. She's expected to dress in masculine. She's expected to put on agbada, bead, cap, and so on. So to me, I don't see cross-dressing as a new phenomenon. Aside that, in the post-colonial period, we have this. Okay, before that, let me quickly give you examples to buttress my point. We all know about Orompoto. Can you
Taiwo, you have 5 more minutes.
Okay, thank
Sorry
you.
to cut you short.
We have Orompoto. That was one of the main, let me say, that was what she was, the criteria she was able to use to gain the position of her father in the Oyo Empire. Now, let me go to the, okay, before concluding, we have this, I said we are going to look at the consequences. Now, if you look at the changing pattern of the dressing among the students, it has affected the male gender. We have female students dressing indecently. And for instance, you have a lecturer coming to lecture in the classroom, and you have a female putting on a kind of a turtleneck or what with skimpy skirt. How do you expect the lecturer to deliver his lecture comfortably? That is the question. Now, that has affected our own traditional culture, our Western dressing. And another thing is, in the place of dressing, like yesterday, we had a kind of performance yesterday describing different culture. But one thing, they lost out one thing, and that was their dressing. They were performing the African culture while putting on the Western form of dressing, the attire. So in conclusion, I try to conclude that most people, one thing is, if you look at the dressing pattern among the people of Yoruba is not stagnant. It is dynamic. And one thing is that the cross-dressing is not a new phenomenon, but has been in existence from the past. But upon the Western culture of dressing, the people still have respect. They still cherish their dressing culture, and that can be portrayed in the Ijebu Ode, the Ojudioba festival. I think for now I rest. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Taiwo. Thank you for speaking with so much passion. I have a couple of comments and questions, but we need to move on to Suliat because she's online right now. Suliat, would you be able? Can you hear us? And would you be able to present now?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, is Suliat in the room? Because she's on, the person is online as well. That's why I'm asking.
She's not in the room.
Okay. Yes,
She
Sulia,
should be.
Sulia, can you hear us? Because she's on the call right now, but she's not saying anything. Can you hear us?
Maybe they should text her to unmute herself.
Okay, can you unmute yourself? Can you hear us? I feel like she's trying to speak, but okay, yes.
Hello. Good
Hi.
morning.
Yes, good
Hello.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, so can you hear us? Would you be able to turn on your video and present?
Yes, I can hear you, but I can't. Can I present without turning on my video?
Well, we don't have a
Okay.
choice at this moment. Yes, you can do that.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll be presenting on the historical perspectives on traditional African clothing and the preservation of culture. I'm sorry, my PowerPoint slides are not ready. I'll just speak to the paper.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. So I will start with the historical evolution of traditional African clothing, just briefly. So African clothing production dates back to around 5000 BC, initially using materials like tree bark, animal hides, cotton, palm, and silk. And then clothing was not just functional then, but held immense cultural importance, especially during festivals and ceremony. But at a later date, we have the introduction of, the advent of colonialism, and then the European colonization and the Arab influence, another influence of Western world during the different trade that we've had, and then colonialism led to the introduction of new textiles, although mixed with African culture, like African cultural textiles, the one that we've our fabrics are the one that we've had, like the Ankara Dutch wax print. Then these imports did not resonate with African culture until local adaptation made them more acceptable, and then integrating traditional African stories, designs into their production. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So different regions in Africa have their own different traditional clothing that is peculiar to each of them. Like in Nigeria now, we have, for the southwestern part of Nigeria, we have the Ofi, the Asho Oke, or the Ofi, which was not only worn for special events and occasion. They have classes. They have classes according to quality. So there are ones worn for special occasions, and there are ones that are worn for ordinary events like day-to-day activities. So in different regions in Africa, they develop their own distinct textiles industry using local materials and techniques. For instance, West Africans saw the rise of dyeing techniques like tie and dye and batik, while regions like Mali developed renowned textiles such as the Bogolan and the mud clothes. So each of these clothes have their own cultural significance to the different region. Like in Ghana, it has its own cultural significance. The Ashoke in Nigeria, it has its cultural significance. Then in the northern part of Nigeria, there is a place, I think they use Ashoke, but not in the color, in the variations of colors and the way it was used in the southwest. It has its own cultural significance too, especially for the Fulani people. So there's a variety in materials, there's a variety in colors, there's a variety in designs, and this variety speaks of the Africa's diverse cultural heritage. However, at around post-colonial period till now, I think there was a change in the way Africans see the traditional outfits. There was a shift from the colonial period. There was a shift from our traditional outfits. We now due to several factors anyways. The fact that there is globalization, there is socialization of different age groups, then people now restrict wearing traditional outfits or cultural outfits to the old people, while the youth, the young people feel that the modern English corporate wears, like wearing of shirts, trousers, jeans, and hot, is the new order of the day. That's the influence. That's a modern influence and globalization. So despite these modern influences and globalization, traditional African clothing remained deeply rooted in cultural practices. It was now restricted to culture, like wearing of traditional outfits, especially among the youth. And some of the old people is now restricted to only when there are special occasions like coronation, like traditional festivals, then traditional marriages and all. So, for instance, now when someone is doing convocation, it has shifted before. Even when you are going for MSSN or religious activities, you can go, people go in their traditional attires before the post-colonial period. But now, each activity now has a kind of clothing style that people ascribe to it. Just recently, we concluded the Eid al-Kabir, and you see people, abayas trending online, as abayas has been attributed to Eid and Islamic religious events. And you see, when people have special occasions like marriages now, in order in order for the traditional to prove that traditional events is still one of the ways in which traditional African clothing is now preserved. You'll see people highlighting, spending like 3-4 days for their events, and making sure that traditional marriage is going to hold in a day, and then you are expected that, okay, at your traditional marriage, you wear traditional attires. If you are a Yoruba Muslim, you're expected to wear, if you are a Yoruba, you wear your ashoke. Even though the ashoke now has been, it has been, how do I put it? It has been modernized. It is not compulsory you wear your ashoke now and then it will be Iro and Buba. People now sew gowns. People now sew dresses with the ashoke. People do different things. They even make shoes with the ashoke. They make bags, clutch purse, and fans with ashoke. This is to show that these specific events are tied to traditional clothes. Like and then in other parts of in Igbo land, if you're having your traditional marriage, if you have all other weddings using your Western dressing style and all, you will still have your traditional marriage. And at your traditional marriage, you're expected to wear strictly your traditional outfit. So this is the modern, the change in the shift in wearing of traditional clothing as it was worn then to the way it is now being worn now is more of the influence of modern influences and globalization. So there is a resurgence of indigenous attire in modern context now, as I've explained, such as weddings, festivals, and social gathering, emphasizing cultural pride and identity. Just at the recently concluded Ojude in Ijebu, it was not only in Ijebu that Ojude was done. They have Ojude in Ejigbo here in Osun State and different other places. But the Ojude in Ijebu trended. It trended globally, and it is because of the marriage between globalization and then traditional African clothing. Most people that trended for Ojude wore their ashoke, Iran Buba, with a touch of designer jewelry, designer sunshade glasses, and other things to complement their look. So, and then recently we have the social dynamics and contemporary trends and traditional African clothing. African fashion now blends traditional attires with modern styles. And these modern styles are influenced by global fashion trends while retaining cultural authenticity. Like just recently, people now make suits with ashoke. They use traditional clothes to make suits. They use adire to make blazers. They use adire to make corporate wear. I feel that this way they are trying to preserve the tradition, because years ago traditional African clothing, and even till now, is almost going into extinction, if not for some of these social dynamics and then contemporary trends of mixing traditional African clothing with modern styles that are influenced by global fashion trends. You even see people hold fashion shows, and these traditional African clothing are used to make dresses. They are used to make dresses that will blend with that could compete with designer dresses or dresses that are made on the global space. Some of these dresses are some of these clothing that are traditional to Africa in more recent times are not even produced in Africa again.
Sorry to
yes?
stop. You have 5 more minutes.
Okay. So some of these clothing are not like the adire. Apart from the adire lacquer that has been made, that has been produced by Osogbo, and then the local ones that are produced that are produced with this cloth called cheru, the one that's produced here. Most of the clothes that are traditional to us are even being produced outside Nigeria now. If you go to Itoku in Abeokuta, most of their quality designs are no longer made right here in Nigeria. You see them, except for the few designs that are made by Malians, few designs of the adire and batik that are made by Malians. Other materials are now being produced in China. Rich Nigerian business mogul now take their designs to China. They just have to go to Itoku, get one of the designs. Once they like it, they will send it to China, and it will be made in polyester for them. If you meet with the market women in Itoku now, one of their complaints is that the clothing that is being that is historical to them is being taken away from them by the rich people taking the designs to China to produce for them. And there's a way that once they produce the design, it does not really represent what it is known for in Africa. So in summary, I'll conclude by saying African clothing is portrayed as a dynamic cultural artifact that continues to evolve while preserving its deep historical roots and significance across the continent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I think we have enough time for questions. We have about, this panel is supposed to close by 10:45, I believe. And if I'm wrong, please correct me so that we don't go beyond time. I will give the floor to the general audience for questions. In case you missed the first presentation, the first person to present today was Olowe Jisfermi. I know a couple of people missed that. I don't think anybody has been able to kind of ask her a question yet. And she presented on the art of cloth wearing in Ibadan, a multidisciplinary examination of tradition, culture, and identity. So in case you have any questions or comments on that and you are in the room at the points that she presented, please feel free to ask your questions now. So please, the floor is yours, is for the audience. And then as co-chairs, Dr. Mitiat is in the room physically. She might have other comments as well. And I will also give my comments once everybody is done. Yes? So question time, please. Thank you.
Questions. Okay. Comments. Okay.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It's not really a question, it's more of a comment. So you mentioned that ashoke used to be worn every day, not just for special occasions in the past. But we have to factor in global warming. It's not as hot as it was then. It's really, really hot now. And ashoke is not really a hot weather friendly clothing. So it's not like if you wear ashoke now and walk around, people will look at you. They'll just be like, why are you wearing that sort of thing now? Like it's so hot. You might even faint if you wear original ashoke. You might faint on the road because it's so heavy and like it's original cotton. So it's not really, it doesn't really make sense to wear it every day. And also, people tend to make globalization the devil when it comes to culture in Africa. I don't really think that's the case. Because if not for globalization makes our culture preserved. It keeps it preserved and make it last the test of time. Because this Ojude thing that trended, Yoruba culture always has a way of trending in other parts of the world. But it is up to us to find a way to keep our culture authentic and original to us, even though other people might adapt it in different parts of the world. And she mentioned something about people that make adire in Abeokuta, if I'm not wrong. They said that their designs are being taken to China to be mass produced. There's an issue with that. I feel it's the issue with our textile industry in Nigeria. Yes, it is not being maintained. Our textile industry in Nigeria is not set up to be sustainable, which makes it irrelevant after a couple of years. And the way people want to be wearing ashoke, adire, people making it can't meet up with that mass production and the consumer consumption. So the only thing that would make sense is to make much less expensive and like not really good quality. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. The audience, okay. That's the guy at the back. Okay.
Okay. So I don't think mine is also a question. It's more or less like a perspective or a commentary. So we all understand that globalization is inevitable. It's almost inevitable with the advancement of technology. Things are only going to get more interconnected and interwoven. And it's up to academics, up to culturalists, up to we Africans preserve our culture. At the same time, we should not also be oblivious to the fact that the reality is that there is a generation of people that were born into the internet age. So yeah, there's a generation, literally, and I'm one of them by the grace of special grace of God. So we grew up watching Superman on Silverbird. We grew up watching Barney. We were not watching masquerades dancing on TV. We were not watching, and that was not because our parents did not value our culture or our tradition. It's just the reality that we found ourselves in. So sometimes the younger demographic or the internet generation gets demonized for not leaning more into African culture or African attires or just way of life in general. And I always feel some type of way about it because we didn't choose it. It's what we were born into. So I think it's left to academics to say, hey, this is your identity. Yes, you were born into Superman and Ben 10 and all that, but this is where you came from. These are your values, these are your people. You have Superman, we have our own. We have people like Shango that have similar attributes to these things we were born into, and this is what they look like, this is their outfit. And I think we can see that manifesting in, new adaptations. Every day we see new innovations coming around. We have Disney now making cartoons featuring Yoruba characters, Igbo characters, and I think instead of demonizing that globalization or the internet generation, let's assimilate and adapt and grow together. So that's my comment.
Okay. I want to observe from Taiwo's presentation. When you are listening those dressing pattern of Bobrisky, something Brown, James Brown. Then I don't know whether Charlie Boy is Charlie, is it Charlie somewhere else or the Charlie Boy we know in Nigeria? Okay, then if you're referring to Charlie Boy, then that spelling is incorrect. So please correct it. Thank you.
Okay. Comments? Someone at the back, please.
Good morning, everybody. Two things. I'm quite fascinated by Taiwo's presentation. Two questions. One, was James Brown a cross-dresser? I think that was the dress code. That was the dressing, the artistic dressing in their time. So I don't think James Brown was a cross-dresser. That's my opinion, because when you said it, when I saw that, I started wondering if it's because of those big heels. That was the trend then. It wasn't about a cross-dressing thing. Even our fathers wore it then. One. Then secondly, what is the kernel of your work? Because I liked the historical interpretation and everything, but the kernel of your work, I know you said something about the fact that cross-dressing is not a strange thing in the traditional Yoruba tradition, especially when you talk about Shango and the legends and all that. But I want to understand the kernel of your work. What's your argument exactly? Do you just want to point out the fact that cross-dressing is also our thing? And does that also mean that gay is our thing? And I need to get the direction of your work. But I think it's a beautiful presentation. But that thing is missing. What points do you really want to sell to us? Thank you.
Sorry, can I just answer the first question on terms of James Brown? I actually think she was referring to the James Brown in Nigeria, not the James Brown of the baby boomer
Okay, so it's
generation.
generational thing.
Yes,
I don't know
not
that
the James Brown
in
musician.
Nigeria.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know. I'm old school.
Fine.
Let me, so that the presenters will comment all together. I have some things to say on each person's presentation. The first presenter, Jesu Feromi Olowe. I quite don't understand the methodology you are trying to use, and what are your spaces of field work? We said post-colonial Ibadan, but I am interested because I also work on things in Ibadan. So I'm actually interested in where are your spaces of research? Who exactly are you bringing out of Ibadan to study your theme? So we need to understand that. Then for Zainab, I think I've said a number of things on, but I'm actually looking at the fabric evolution and development aspects of it. That's what is it for Nigeria actually? What is it in this idea of fabric? Because I know that over time, elsewhere, outside Africa, in Asia, the computer-aided designs have been deployed in making a number of all these designer wares. So if we bring it down to the issue of Dutch wax prints or whatever wax prints and Nigeria, what is it exactly for us, considering the fact that your background is from the Faculty of Design, and I know you people interface with technology a lot. For Taiwo, yes, like the last speaker said, that are we now saying that what Bobrisky is doing or what the Nigerian James Brown is doing is something that's part of our culture? Or maybe you need to do a kind of conceptualization of your work for that and give us an idea that the Bobrisky or the way Tenny dresses like a tomboy and all the likes is just for trends. And it's basically economic at the end of the day. Because one thing about the showbiz world is your ability to trend matters. And so anything to trend, even if it is a negative, just go ahead and do it. Even if it's against the norm, because that's the way they are thinking. Even if it's against the norm in the society, once it allows them to trend. Okay, for instance, now, there is this guy that does, he's a kind of cross-dressing, so actually, Mama Diola. I don't know if you are aware of him. Mama Diola, his real name is Folagade Banks. Then when he started, I think I noticed when he started, I was like, what actually is he doing? But before we knew it, he's in the buzz, he's trending. All the celebrities want to collaborate with him to improve their trends. So, I mean, and he actually got the idea of mimicking or imitating the 1980, 1990 motherhood and using it for his own content. So you need to do a lot of contextualization to understand the motives. Now, let me put it that way, the motives behind why people decide to cross-dress. Even cute Abiola to cross-dresses and portrays motherhood and femininity in certain ways too. So you need to do a lot of conceptualization so that your work will be clear enough. Then you talked about dressing and lecturers. And maybe let me come up from my own feminist angle. We really, much as it is not too good though, I've seen female colleagues when girls wear dresses and we see their bra directly, but like this, what do we call that kind of dress? Something like a see-through. And I've seen female colleagues who say, let us go and meet her and tell her that she should leave the academic premises. And then I will tell them, no, you don't just go and meet her like that. I think we should just, don't let us harass her. Let us just call her and just encourage her that she should leave straight away and go and find something to wear. And at the same time, we also need to be careful because dressing at times is the fact that you are covered totally doesn't change the mindset of the opposite gender to perpetrate or harass you or whatever. Are you getting it? And but though we can agree that dressing in such a way that exposes a woman's body triggers or enables that harassment or abuse or whatever it looks like. So we need to also be careful in addressing that issue because it has a lot of feminist and feminine concepts around it. Then to Suliat, I love the fact that she talked about Ashoke, and that's usually a concern too because the old Ashoke, they used to be very thick. And I saw some of them in my parents' closet while growing up. I mean, like, Taloma, who will wear this? Taloma wore a. Then at a point, also when I was growing up, I feel like Ashoke is useless. What do we really need it for? But I mean, doing some fashion research and taking interest in fashion practice, I realized that Ashoke can actually witness a kind of revolution or revival by remixing. Apart from, because the Oju Dioba thing, now after Oju Dioba, everybody goes about their businesses. A lot of women that actually came for Oju Dioba, they are in Texas, they are in Los Angeles, they just came for Oju Dioba and they are back. They just wear it once a year. Yes, they are trying to depict a kind of culture, but at the same time, I feel that commercialization of Ashoke should go beyond just using it for special events like Oju Dioba or certain ceremonies. There should be a way that it is remixed into our everyday life. And that's why I will disagree with you a little when you said we are demonizing the internet generation. I said elsewhere that actually I give it to the Gen Z that they are actually the ones at the forefront of cultural revival because they have been able to remix in a certain way. Or some of these Ashoke, Adire, they are remixing it and using it in certain ways. I attended a conference in Germany about 5 years ago, and I noticed that in the diaspora, the Blacks in diaspora are actually making shorts, pants, they call it pants. They are making tops, infusing Ashoke and Adire into it. You see it in a lot of fashion shows around the world. So I said, that's why I said I give it to the okay, let me say the diaspora internet generation. They are really doing a lot in
utilizing some of these things. And it's also a product of the fact that a sense of consciousness is brewing into them as they grow up. Then concerning a direct to China and the death of textile industry, well, it's so unfortunate that that is the situation. But then, because I remember a commissioner in Ogun State complained to the Nigerian customs that they should stop allowing the Chinese bring in adire, that is killing the adire industry. And then the custom told her that, well, in the list of things that can be brought into Nigeria, adire or whatever, textile is not excluded. So since it is included, they can't stop the Chinese from production. So the merchant class in Nigeria have the money to take whatever designs, take it to China. Then I said, okay, if that is the case, really, these women producing this design, because the design is a patent, I think Zainab will also agree with me that some of this design is a patent, because at times when I think and I do the time, even me personally, I do the time, and I feel like, oh, see what I have produced. But then, can't I actually take this design out, look for somebody that can produce in mass production, and then it will be that I have designed it. But that's what exactly the merchant class and the Chinese are doing. So the problem we now have presently now is that Nigeria doesn't have a thriving textile industry. Because when I look at what they do in Abeokuta, I believe that there are lots of occupational hazards attached to it, touching the chemicals. I mean, touching the chemicals, inhaling the smell, and I'll be like, no, this is not sustainable, actually. So why is it that people actually, if I can produce my own design, then it can be produced for me in mass. But the problem is the Nigerian textile industry is not working. So thank you.
Thank you. I wouldn't be able to add to anything you said because we have only 8 more minutes for the panelists to answer the questions. Yes.
All right. So regarding my the methodology I use, as this is my first major project, so I made use of historical methods, majorly sourcing from books, journals, articles, looking at pictures from newspapers and stuff. And I also made use of. We can't hear you. I also made use of oral interviews. I went to areas in Ibadan such as Uje Market, Bere, Molete. I couldn't really explore places because I was alone and it was scary. So I talked to older people. I even talked to a man that was a major, he used to wear the Egungun costume in Ibadan. So those were my methodologies I used. Project. And who am I bringing out of Ibadan? I really did not get the second person. I was just.
You mentioned the Google now. I think all you need to do is do more of a contextualization of it. Well, that's why I said you mentioned it now. Yes. So meaning that we are looking at a kind of costuming.
Yes, like
and so, anyway, your work is in progress, so you can always walk around what you have.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. The first question that doctor asked was, where will I situate maybe prints that have that they use for festivals or with maybe somebody's picture? I think the work I'm dealing with is basically on Dutch wax narrative. But had it been I'm dealing with textile narratives, I can include that as part of a ceremonial narrative. But I'm dealing with Dutch wax narrative, so that's why I didn't look into that. Then you asked question on me joining to saying that the revival of Dutch wax, the attempt that Dutch wax did to match two classic design. The issue is that we want Dutch wax narrative basically has each mark, each color has its significance and meaning. So when you merge the two together, two classic together, it creates confusion for people to read the design. So modeling it up, that's my argument, that it's going to make make people to, it will just be like the ordinary contemporary prints, because you're just merging it up to cater for African markets. You're not merging it up to show the cultural significance. So I think still, Prof, I don't think, yes.
Yeah, because I'm trying to put you in a situation that you just see that there is competition. And even the Dutch, that's why the fact that they are trying to maintain a monopoly, they are also jealous of what they are calling counterfeits. Yeah, so that's it. Okay.
Okay, please, we have 4 more minutes, please. I figure that they need to use the room for the next session. So we have 4 more minutes.
Yes, I have 2 arguments, but my major argument is the one you said about the cross-dressing. So, but like Prof said, the thing what I have to do now is to conceptualize dressing in order to make my work flow. So I wasn't looking at it from the perspective of their manners. I was only looking at their dressing culture. So that was why I did not conceptualize it. But thanks for the comment, and thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so Leah, do you want to say anything? She's still online.
So yeah, can you hear us? Hello,
I want to
Suliat.
talk about, hello.
Okay.
Yes, the first person that commented on the paper, she said, Dr. Mutiat also said something on it, that we can't be, actually, okay, it's not something that can be worn because it's thick, it's heavy, and all that. I want us to know that when I was presenting, I made mention of quality. That each of these Ashoke have their quality, although the quality is not like the one that is worn in the olden days again. I use Ashoke a lot, and I can wear it anytime. I can decide to just tie Ashoke on Friday. I just go to mosque and do all that, because it is anything that makes us wear jeans comfortably. We can wear Ashoke too. Even some Ashoke are now soft textures than some of the jeans and cargo pants that we wear. So it's just a matter of not seeing it as clothes that is reserved for special occasions, or clothing item that is for the old people. That's just how we have to look at it, the way we look at our jeans, the way we look at our bias, the way we look at our dresses. So it's a thing of for instance, now I can say, oh, I'm Yoruba, I want to wear Ashoke today to work. Even though some of our working environments, only the academic, in the academics, you can wear traditional outfits. Even in the academic, it depends on your discipline. In law now, if you wear Ashoke, you will defend it in front of my lord. You tell them why you're wearing Ashoke. So some of our occupations are, they do not encourage people wearing traditional outfits. But then anything that makes wearing jeans and modern outfits comfortable, some designers are even heavier than these Ashoke. Louis Vuitton, some of their jackets are very heavy because of the designs, the stoning, the embroidery, and all that. So we should see Ashoke the way we see our normal clothing. And the other one that I want to talk about, Dr. Mutiat already shed more light.
So Sulia, thank you. Sorry, I have to cut you short. We have 1 more minute, and I have to end the panel now. If we still have time and they give us time, we can continue. I would say that
we have a panel too.
Yes, we have
panel coming up.
We have another panel, and I don't know if it's in this room, so we need to actually move. But I just wanted to say one thing. I think that generally, the presentations were really good. I think that if for like future conference presentations, if you have your research questions and objectives as one of the first things in your presentation, it makes it clear what context that you're speaking to. I know that Taiwo kind of had that in her presentation in terms of like the objectives of what she was doing, but just generally for future conference presentations, I will say have your objectives so that once you have that, then people know the context that you're speaking to. Suliat, you're right in terms of like future things, but I think that if you had also kind of put like some of the contemporary examples, because I know there's a brand that is currently using Ashoke for one of their collections, Andrew and Tabitha, you can check them out, and Trax Apparel. They're currently using that from like a Western point of view. Another argument I would say is that while Taiwo mentioned the fact that Ashoke is uncomfortable, the truth is when you look at the fashion system globally, they have seasons. I don't think that we've been able to come up with our own seasons and say that this is summer for Nigeria, this is Harmattan season. Nobody has contextualized it, so that's something that someone needs to do a research on. We can't continue saying winter because we're not in winter, but you can wear Ashoke during Harmattan. So if designers are aware of the type of fabrics that we have and position them for certain seasons of the year, that's another way that we can actually market some of our fabrics that we might find uncomfortable. But thank you so much. This was an interesting conversation, and I hope that we'll continue it via email in terms of like just generally giving you feedback and also seeing where some of your papers can fit in like journal articles. I also want to say thank you to the audience for being so engaging and sharing some of your thoughts for us. Dr. Mutia, do you have any other thing to say as my co-chair?
Nothing. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much. See you in the next session. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone.